This is basically everything we've hashed out over the past month plus, correct?
Yeah.
That's right.
So, yeah, we did the ordinance first, and then this is kind of what Katie and I have, and Jamie have kind of worked on since we really didn't have anything in place prior to this, so.
Collection days stay the same.
Yeah, he's gonna shoot to try to keep everything virtually the same, and so there's less disruption on the customer, and
As far as pickup places too, Jamie, either alley or front?
Yes,
street
yes,
front?
I'll keep it all the same. I'd like to know a couple things. If, on them alley pickups, if the limbs are protruding into the alleys, who's responsible to, because I don't just drive my trucks through anything and scratch them all up, and who's responsible to keep them
well,
high enough and not protruding into the alley?
Aren't we having?
yeah, you can just let us know, Jamie, I
Okay.
guess, and
Okay.
we can either tackle it, or we do have a tree service.
I mean, it don't have to be
so-
done that
Yeah.
day, you know.
Well, that or
I
your
didn't
driver
know
can
to
just
talk to
carry a
the people
chainsaw
and-
and,
Yeah, I've got a saw on the truck, believe it or not. I do have one.
yeah, just let us know, I
Okay.
guess, where your problem areas are.
So moved.
Been moved by Councilman Grayball to approve resolution 2016-20 Highest Road Solid Waste Contract. No second? Second by Councilman Audi. Any further discussion?
He raises his hand, I say it.
Okay.
Whatever.
For the record,
Thanks,
he
Robert.
raised his hand before he said it. So, now, afterwards, we'll wrestle for it. So, any further discussion? Mandy, would you take a roll call vote, please?
Latrell,
Yes.
McMillan,
Yes.
Ponzo,
Yes.
Miller,
Yes.
Audi,
Yes.
Graybon,
Yes.
Gingler.
Yes.
Thank you, motion carries. Next item on the agenda this evening is adjournment.
So moved.
Been moved by Councilman Audi that we adjourn. Second by Councilman McMillan. Any further discussion? Those in favor, say aye. Aye. Opposed, same. Adjourn. We'll go into the work section. First item, under staff reports. Katie, do you have anything at this time?
No, I apologize for being late.
Oh, not
You're
a
gonna,
problem.
I'm gonna be, it's, every Tuesday is a ball game, so I might be running in here late, but.
My personal opinion,
I
you need
left
to be at the ball game.
Yeah, I left early, but it wasn't looking good, so.
Sorry.
Yeah.
The
I'll go
Georgia
back for
have-
JV later.
Oh, we're going till 9:30 tonight.
Jason, do you have any?
No, not.
Okay.
I did have one question, regarding the starting of Maine. What's the,
Yeah.
what's
Oh,
the
good. Yeah, good
timeframe and
question.
everything on that?
Yeah, that, they had talked about coming in on the December 5th, Pavers Inc. The issue is we're waiting on Kansas Gas Service. They have 2 gas lines that they have to move on that project. And we obviously had the construction, or pre-construction meeting on October 20th. And they are aware of it, submitted the project. I guess it's quite a bureaucratic process for them to get that approved in Overland Park, Kansas, and for those 2 minor projects. And so that's kind of holding up the show, because obviously Pavers Inc. doesn't want to come in when they're still there, because and Pavers Inc. wants to be able to just come in and start blowing through it. So that's gotten pushed back a little bit, so I don't have a hard start date, I don't have a hard date from Kansas Gas Service yet, but the last I heard is Kansas Gas had hoped to get here in the middle of the month to get that done. I guess they've got one piece of it approved, they're just waiting for the other to get those moved. What that probably means is, it's only gonna be based on weather. I think the idea behind the early start date was they could get a good month or 2 in, which may or may not happen.
Does that tie us to my second question, was we had set originally a firm date of the Memorial Day weekend, and if they're gonna,
Yeah,
as things
so-
get pushed back, that date becomes tighter and tighter.
Yeah, so that's gonna be tough. So they're gonna probably ask for some days, but we're also gonna kind of negotiate from the fact that they kind of committed to the 5th of December. And so just because they could have come in November 18th doesn't mean they're already at almost a month of extra time. So we'll have to kind of say, hey, we still have a pretty firm drop dead date of, that during into May, type scenario. So, yeah, that's the tough thing, and it's probably something we'll want to consider maybe with future, especially major projects like this. I found it successful in previous community to do some incentive, disincentive type clauses. It costs a little bit more money, but it can also make sure the project is delivered on time, which is a huge, especially on those main arterial, those big roads. So just something to consider. We'll see how this goes. But it's really tough at this point to say, you have to have it done. There's nothing really to make them want to do it because unfortunately, some things outside of their control has already slowed it down.
Was the contractor responsible for getting gas service to get those lines moved?
I don't, in talking to Stewart, he wasn't acting like it was any of their, because it wasn't their fault. It's unfortunately, the pre-construction meeting is kind of where everybody meets and talks about those things and he figures out, all the utilities, because they're kind of outside of the scope of that project. It's more, AT&T is there, we're there usually, any utility, so they say, okay, yeah, I'll move this or I'll move that, and Kansas Gas is just extremely slow.
Yeah, we had a meeting in Glen Elder did a huge sidewalk project.
Yeah, same
and
issue.
They're delayed partly because of their contractor, but a lot also because of Kansas Gas.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, Stewart said this is par for the course with them, so it's just unfortunately really slow.
They had a representative there, didn't
They did,
they? I was thinking they did.
Yeah, but they gotta get the project all figured out and send it to their regional office, who submits it to Overland Park, and it probably comes back through the other
It's
way.
like One Oak now or something. I mean, they're huge.
Yeah, yeah, exactly, and they've gotten massive, and so I'm sure we're just a little speck in their eye, but, I plan on being aggressive with them to still meet that target date, so obviously, hope for good weather. So that's the update.
I did have a second question if no one else did.
Yeah, go ahead.
You had mentioned the back and forth with the railroad, but
Yeah.
you really didn't say much about what that back and forth had entailed, other
Sure.
than just, did you get voicemails? Or
Well,
what?
yeah, yep, exactly, voicemails, so, yeah, I have, not a miracle worker, only been 3 months, so give me a chance. I took some good pictures, so I plan on going some different routes with it, but I know it's been a big issue for a long time, but I don't plan on forgetting about it.
I had real high expectations.
I know, I'm sorry.
Man, you're
I
starting
got him to call me.
down.
This week I probably called him, and last week I probably called him 4 times. So I took some pictures on Monday. I kind of plan on maybe using some local representatives or send elected officials higher up to kind of help maybe put some pressure on there, or just even meet them on site or meet them over in Phillipsburg or something.
I guess the question I have is, some of the metal is starting to rise up in that, and if somebody tore up a tire
Yeah,
going over
actually,
there, would that be just
well,
considered road hazard? Is
yeah.
that considered railroad?
I took some. I went on site and actually walked it and looked at it. At least on the Hersey, there is no more. I think there used to be. I think somebody
Okay.
took it off.
Okay.
And yeah,
But-
so it's just mainly rough. And the rough. So one of it is concrete, those slabs, which is how they should build them, but they're all like this. And you can tell where some equipment or some snow blades have hit it along the way and knocked some of that metal off of the trim pieces, or whatever you want to say, angle iron. The other one was packed with asphalt, which is probably not the preferred method. And I think that's actually the rougher one sometimes. Is that
That's how they fixed it the last time.
yeah, exactly, yeah. So, yeah, the really tough thing I have, Andrew, is that, I don't know what the history is. I can't really figure out who's talked to who, how much agreement was ever done, so it's really anecdotal at this point. So I've been talked to quite a bit about it, so I don't plan on dropping it, but I don't really have a whole lot of,
Oh,
here's the miracle solution.
Pave over it.
Yeah.
That'll get the
While we're on it.
Yep.
Maybe on Sunday we got.
Yeah, I don't know much about that
Okay.
piece, so go ahead.
8th Street 24 intersection, I think I told you a while back that I'd been working, I think it was clear back beginning of, it's been a good 2 years, to get them to do a traffic study for that. And I knew they had worked on it because I'd seen traffic counters out there this last spring. It turns out they did do the study in March, they did the report in August. And finally I was doing some filing this week and thought, I better just email them and see where that's at. Well, sure enough, the report shows up that we had never received. KDOT unfortunately is not recommending any changes to that intersection, speed limit or otherwise. Our accident history, which unfortunately they only look back to 2012. I believe our fatalities were prior to that. I had told them about the fatalities, so they were aware of that. But unfortunately, they just look at data. They look at the number of cars, the speeds, and the number of accidents, and we're just above what's considered average and not to the critical level of accidents. and they consider that speed zone in there, they don't see a problem with that. People in their study were maintaining the correct speed, posted speed limits. The only thing it did say at the very end was if we were to ever do a geometric improvement project, which is what we did on 14, if we were ever to do one on 24, at that time they would consider a possible turn lane. But nothing in the meantime. So I was, needless to say, very disappointed in that. To me, that's a terrible intersection, but that is considered a final report from them, and until something changes, it is what it is for now. So I just wanted to let you guys know, because that was something we'd been waiting on, or I'd been waiting on, so. That's all I have.
Thank you.
Lots of great news.
Well, everybody that lives here knows it's pretty dangerous. And it is, you know, from my perspective, the speed needs to slow down, a little bit. Especially since we've had that growth out there on that side of town, the traffic east-west has increased considerably.
Well, you got some people who are accelerating to get to 55
Yeah.
before the sign, and then you have other people who aren't braking until after the intersection. So I know people are going through faster than the 45-mile-an-hour posted through that intersection.
And I think it gets there quicker than what you think, you know, because at the crest of that hill, then all of a sudden there's a vehicle there. That's my experience there.
Well, I've almost had somebody rear-end me waiting to make the turn off of 24th,
Yeah.
and the guy literally sort of chicaned around me, never slowed down. So.
Yeah. Well, we'll keep it in front of the KDOT, that's all we can do.
Yep.
Hope we don't have any major accidents. Jason, do you want to visit with us about dog licensing?
Yeah, sure.
These are one of my favorite topics.
No.
Mine too.
Yeah.
And Dave.
Yeah. So basically kind of what I wanted to do before I write up a proposal on it, I talked to some other city managers the last couple of weeks, and obviously you guys have brought up the dog issue quite a bit the last, ever since I was interviewed, so I know it's a pressing issue, and obviously with hiring of Doug, hopefully we can start focusing on that a little bit more, and I know that he's actually away for part of this week at a conference about animal control and kind of the laws and all that stuff, so we make sure we do it, but we also do it right, so we don't get in trouble for that, 'cause there are rules with that. So I told him also to get some ideas and, pick the brains of some of his fellow attenders to find out what some of their programs are like. But what I wanted to make sure is nobody had any big stands on anything. But part of what I think we're running into, I did some, just a little bit of data collection on that, really simple. In the last, since 2009, I kind of just looked, I don't know if that was when we started licensing or if it was before that, but that's as far back as I went. I just went and looked at the number of tags that we had gotten, or animals that had gotten licensed. And it's an annual licensing. And so I guess I'll dream off to you, but we went 156, 148, 156, 171, 160, 167. In the last 2 years, 135, 118. So you can see it's really starting to tail off, which could be a couple of factors. But we also probably have a lot more than 171 dogs in town. I mean, it's probably, I don't know, even 10% of the dogs that we have in town. I don't know, part of it is, we have, I believe that our dog license fee, well, I know our dog license fee right now is, if they're spayed or neutered, is $5, and they have to, provide proof that they're spayed or neutered, and they have their rabies vaccinations, etc. If they're not spayed or neutered, it's $50. So I'm sure you can guess how many spayed or neutered dog licenses I think we've probably sold. Bet probably zero.
Not hardly any.
Yeah, hardly any. So, I don't know if it's working quite as intended, and that's kind of what I wanted to bring it up, get any ideas from you guys, any concerns before I and I know we're kind of in the midst of licensing program, but since it's fairly ineffective at this point, because Doug pulled me aside the other day and he's like, I could write tickets for unlicensed dogs all day long. And I'm like, well, I don't think that's probably what we want you to do just yet, until we can maybe design a little bit more of an effective program. And I think, in my mind, I want the program to be able to encourage hopefully more people. I know we're just not going to get everybody, but make it really accessible for everybody. And then secondly, that the more people that we have register, the more people we're gonna know where to take their dog right back to if we do capture it, as opposed to have to, overwhelm any sort of animal shelter killing access that we do have through the vet right now. So that'd be kind of the twofold purpose. So a couple ideas in my mind, especially talking to other city administrators, is they really they try to incentivize it more during that registration period. In fact, if they come in maybe in a 2-week period or whatever it is, when it's renewal time, that it's even free. They just want the dog registered, so they know, hey, first of all, especially for the police officers and those that interact with it, that hey, we know that these dogs are safe, they have the rabies vaccinations, but also just to not cause any sort of roadblock for people, because in my mind that makes it a lot cheaper than however much we pay the kennel or the veterinary to keep them if we have to do that. So there's that, and then also probably to drastically reduce the non-spayed or neutered licensing fee. And I don't really have an idea for that, besides I've kind of read some places, some cities even incentivize that. I got my dog fixed here in town, and I think even with boarding it for the night, because that's what they offer, is still only like $90. So compared to a lot of the bigger cities, that's extremely affordable. So at least I know for some people it can be a stopping point. So I don't mean it that way, but it is something that if there's some incentives that we can help people to help either pay for it or whatever, because again, the more dogs they have spayed or neutered, the less problem we have, and it may be actually more affordable that way. Just ideas, but I kind of wanted to see if anybody was really tied to that $50 fee, and if anybody had any great ideas, since you've all been thinking about it for so long, Matt.
Well, there was a conversation we had
Yeah.
where you had mentioned maybe a license for life, and I was thinking about that as like, well, if we're gonna have a license for life, why not the people that haven't spayed,
Mhm.
they pay a small fee for
Mhm.
licensing, those that have spayed, they get
Mhm.
the license for life,
Mhm.
who've spayed it.
Yeah.
So you remove yourself from having to worry about it, which is that one license,
Yeah.
and maybe incentivize chipping so that if they lose it, they're still known to who they belong.
Yeah. Yeah, probably about the only issue that, in reflection on that, the license, that type of thing is just, we want to make sure that the rabies shot is current, and so kind of doing the annual, and it may be a blend of that, kind of helps with that, because we can make sure that their shots are current. And the older dogs, I'm not, again, quite as familiar how often they have to get rabies shots, but
It's like 3
it's every 3 years, yeah. And so that's what I'm planning for, yeah. Can we do a 3-year? Kind of another idea that I had was, can we make it more accessible through our website, whether it's a fillable form, and, if it is a nominal fee, that they can pay it online, and somehow we can then deliver they'll be able to submit the stuff to us, and we can deliver the thing, because they can just sit in their office, and they get the notice, and click, and, 3 days later, they get the dog tag in the mail. That would probably maybe help some more people do it. So, kind of an accessibility issue was kind of another thing I wanted to address in that.
I think the $50 is a little high.
Yeah, I think it's counterproductive to what we're trying to do.
Or programs works.
Yeah, and that's kind of, again, just getting some feedback from you guys, since you've been on the front lines of this for a little while, and, what can I incorporate into that, so. All right, well, that's all I had on that before I'll try to have something back to you guys next meeting to consider with that.
I
Yes,
just have one question on.
Yes, sir.
I guess
The
this
ordinance?
is the ordinance.
Yep.
Is it significant that licensing and dog have little red squares around?
It is
through the whole
significant,
thing?
because that's what I used to search for this ordinance, so. Yeah, it's on City Code Net, you type it in there, it's gonna highlight the ordinance that you used to find it.
Okay.
Yeah,
I also noticed cat was in one of them.
Yeah, as I told Jason, we used to actually
Yeah.
require licensing of cats, which, as you can know, went over really well. And so all of the cat, that's where we missed one, they're supposed to be removed.
Yeah.
It just said cat or dog. So
Yeah.
they're good.
yeah.
I have more stray cats in my neighborhood than I do.
Way more.
Yeah.
Yeah, but you have no rats.
Yeah, no, mine's.
I haven't been bothered by the plague lately.
Not on the west side.
Okay, the next piece down, and keep moving along, is kind of two parts, and Katie kind of brought it to my attention, trying to get the change of government, my duties updated or changed, et cetera. And so this is kind of two smaller pieces to consider. And it's something I intended to talk about all along, obviously ever since I started, kind of kept track mentally a little bit, some of the things I ran into to kind of make the purchasing policy and that part match up a little bit more with my responsibilities and hopefully what you guys intend for me to do. Right now, I put on the table, I want to say a track changed version. I should include that in your packet so you can see what I actually changed. Probably make it a little easier. Not a whole lot, but primarily my limit right now for purchasing is $5,000, and the mayor's is $10,000. And so kind of what I did was I kind of just said, hey, let's mesh that together. So mine is $10,000 as well. And part of that logic is obviously it's still going to go through council and show up on your appropriations. But the second part is, as things move along, I probably could a dozen or so invoices over the last 3 months that I've been here so far. They're 5,040, 6,200, 7,100. I mean, just over it. Where especially there was one where we had some fire hydrants that they were passing by them to another city, so we got a pretty good deal on about $300 a piece less because of shipping issues and just buying and kind of banding together on that. And we had to, since it was a pretty snap decision, we had to just buy only I think 4 of them or whatever, as opposed to the 7 or 8 that Jim identified that he could use to replace. So things like that this would solve, and I think just match it up a little bit better. A couple other things I changed on there. We're in talking with Mandy, and as you'll see on to it here, on the bulk stuff, I'm sorry. So on page 2, item A, authorized agents who can spend. So right now, department heads have a $1,500 spending limit. That seems to work pretty well. The one I've noticed where I probably get phone calls the most from is our electric utility. Obviously, there we're talking a little bit higher dollars, bigger dollars for some of their basic needs and items, buying some wire or some safety equipment or what the like. And so kind of what I identified there was what it felt like would probably clear most of those, but not get him into any trouble is just keeping everybody at 1,500. That seems to work well. I don't seem to get too many calls or issues with that for mundane things. Just taking him up to $3,000 or him or her up to $3,000 that position. And then about the only change I had is on that you can have for the specific items, for those large items for the everyday operation of the city. About the only one that I changed was the diesel fuel, and that went to $30,000. Just kind of talking to Mandy a little bit. All those bills seem like they're 26 or 27. Something they're just over that 25,000. So it's a commodity. It can go up or down. The other thing I changed in there obviously is the administrator and manager type thing. And I guess maybe I'll have Katie talk a little bit about entering into some of those smaller contracts, would it be, up to that? Right now, all contracts have to be approved by a city council, and a lot of times what I'm thinking of for contracts are pretty small that I would like the opportunity to be able to enter into, and they're usually, your computer service contracts or your...
That's, like the e-waste that you had tonight, computer service, those type of things.
Yeah.
Your smaller contracts that are under that amount.
Our copier leases, those types of things. And again, I think they would still match up with the contract value would be the same, as long as the contract value was less than $10,000, that, we could sign those and get them done. Obviously that's gonna basically mean all the big stuff is still gonna come here for approval.
Are you talking total value of the contract? So if it was like $3,000 per year over 4 years for a $12,000 contract, basically?
It has to come here.
So it's not the
Yeah.
per year total, it's the
The
actual
aggregate.
life of it?
Yep,
Okay.
it's the aggregate. Yep.
And all capital improvement projects, for example, if we had like an extra engineering fee that would come to you guys, I think, because if it's for a capital project, it needs to. That's an example I can think of that would be at a kind of a lower amount, but,
Like tacking onto an existing project?
Right.
Yeah, exactly, yeah, that would look at the whole aggregate, so that would be something that would have to come here as part of that contract, because it's $1 million contract, and we have a $5,000 increase, I can't just, it's really $1.5 million, so. I guess, any comments or suggestions, and we can polish it up a little?
I think it goes right along with being, changing everything to being a city manager. We've got to give you the authority to make those decisions and keep that going. Because we're, like I said, we're still going to see all this in appropriations, management has got the checks. And so the checks and balances are still in place, so.
Do we have a timeline for all of this changeover?
Yeah, I think, we talked a little bit about.
Because this is gonna have to fit into it somehow.
Yeah, we talked about a little bit last meeting, so basically, there's kind of three components that, Katie and I had talked about that we'd have to do. So the first part would, since it's virtually the easiest part, is just, anything that, my duties and my actual duties, getting those updated, so we know exactly what they are, and this is part of that. And getting that, we'll probably bring back, she'll actually write up, is it an ordinance?
Yeah, part of it's in the code, and part of it's in a personnel policy. So we will bring a draft ordinance next meeting. I plan to do everything in draft form next meeting, and then actual adoption for the city manager piece, first meeting in January. The election stuff will come later, February-ish.
Yep, because that'll be part of the charter ordinance for the 6 seats and the election process to get to that. And then the last component will be the determination of the wards. And I think the goal
So
is to
that'll be at
have
the
it.
same time as
Okay,
election, yeah.
so yeah,
Yeah.
the goal would be to have it all done by the first part of March, so that people will have time to file for the upcoming election and know where they're at and all those things, so. Yeah. So this is just kind of bringing you pieces so that we can make sure when we draft that up that we're doing it right.
Anything else, Jason? Oh, I had a question, I kind of mentioned it to Jason, but when we need to, I guess get started to Katie, when we need to amend Jason's contract to change to, from administrator to city manager?
No, actually, I think
You said it's-
there should be a provision in there that says if his title changes to city manager, that the contract remains the same.
Yeah, I
And
thought
that he
we worked that
he
in.
will assume all duties of city manager. Yep.
We can go to $1 million a year.
Something like that, I think. it was.
Well, yeah.
I can have, right?
Yeah.
As long as you get all the dogs licensed.
And the real
We'll put that in there, if you got the city manager, you get less money.
Yeah.
Just.
Yeah,
Okay, thank you,
start all
Jason.
over again from scratch.
Yeah, I got re-interviewed.
Okay, with that, we stand adjourned.
Oh, thank you, Tom, for being here.
Dave, all I was trying to figure out is it wasn't literally just voicemail.
Yeah. It literally